Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness is one of the most influential British novels, placing itself in several respected news sources' lists of greatest novels, British and otherwise. I've seen many people say it is their favorite novel, and it's taught in schools to children and young adults far and wide. It's been adapted into several award-winning works, it's been heralded as greatly influential, and it, as well as discussion around it, also happens to be pretty racist. Fans of the work might be surprised to hear that, as this is often heralded as a book that is anti-racist and anti-imperialist. After all, didn't this book help end imperialism in the Congo? Doesn't the book unite the peoples of the world under the idea of one humanity? And isn't the book specifically positive in its representation of Africans? So, for the first question, it's more of a question of history. Didn't Heart of Darkness end colonialism in the Congo? Briefly, not really. More specifically, let's take a look at the timeline of events. The precursor to the concept of the Congo, as well as its namesake, was the Kingdom of Congo, which was founded sometime in the 12 or 1300s. Mwene Congo ruled over 6 united provinces in modern-day Cabinda, the Republic of Congo, the Western Democratic Republic of Congo, and northern Angola. In 1482, Portuguese navigator Diogo Cao explored the Congo River and was, according to known records, the first European in the Congo. Christianity was quickly introduced to the Kingdom of Congo, and Europe had found a new source of slaves. While the Mwene Congo would maintain power over his people, slaves were traded with Europe under the Kingdom of Congo. This agreement lasted for a few centuries, but the areas around the Congo River were considered to be owned by various European powers as a result of the Berlin Conference of 1884 and 1885. Shortly, the Kingdom of Congo became a vassal state of Portugal, and was dissolved in 1914. However, a different European country had already placed a foothold throughout the region, leading to one of the most horrific regimes in human history. Belgium was gifted a large portion of the Congo Basin, in large part due to then-King Leopold II succeeding in convincing those present at the Berlin Conference that he was dedicated to providing humanitarian assistance to the native Africans. This was of course a lie, although it could certainly be argued Leopold's contemporaries would not be perturbed to know his true intentions, especially as the global response to his activity has to this day been divided. The so-called Congo Free State was established in 1885, without initial knowledge of the Congolese. The state served as a personal money mine for the Belgians. Ivory and rubber were valued commodities, so exploitation of local resources began quickly. Worse than theft, of course, were the atrocities. Native Congolese were forced to labor, unpaid, for Belgian companies. Regular mutilation and non-therapeutic amputation was carried out, and failure to meet rubber quotas resulted in death. Terrible conditions caused disease to spread rapidly. Out of respect for the victims, I will not detail greatly all of the atrocities, or show pictures taken to represent the supposed triumph of the Belgians. The course of this rule caused somewhere between 5 and 10 million deaths, roughly half of the initial Congolese population. One of the worst genocides in history. Both Congolese rebellions and European pressure caused the annexation of the Congo Free State into the Belgian Congo in 1908. Though no longer Leopold's direct property, especially as he died in 1909, the Belgian Congo was far from a free state. Belgian rule still enforced segregation, and native Congolese were treated as lesser citizens, without the right to vote for several decades. Despite some locally received humanitarian efforts, such as Dr. Arthur Lewis Piper's appreciated pediatric medicinal practices, Belgians were still treating the Congo like their property, even if the Congolese were no longer legally slaves. The Congo gained freedom in 1960 with the election of Patrice Lumumba. It would be naive and incorrect to say that this was the end of troubles for the Congolese, or even European interference, but the Congo was no longer owned by Belgium. So, when was Heart of Darkness published? Well, the serial version was published in 1899, and it was published as a novel in 1902. It's certainly possible that some people in influential positions were moved by the book, but acting like this was the first or final big strike against Leopold's atrocities ignores the strides made by braver individuals that came before him, as well as the blows delivered by those that came after him. Lawyer, minister, journalist, and Union Army veteran George Washington Williams published a letter to Leopold describing various crimes against humanity he saw in the Congo, which some have credited as sparking public conversation on the subject. William Henry Shepherd and William Morrison, American Presbyterian missionaries, sent letters to America documenting the atrocities they witnessed as early as 1891, influencing British pacifist E.D. Morel and Irish independence fighter Roger Casement. The two of them started the Congo Reform Association, and the latter published the Casement Report, a 1904 investigative document exposing corruption and leading to the firing of several evil officials and gaining traction in Belgian Parliament, including with Socialist Justice Minister Emile the Boss van der Velde, who later represented Shepherd and Morrison in their defense against Kasai rubber. And this isn't even a nearly complete list of influential figures. Educator Booker T. Washington, satirist Mark Twain, minister Samuel N. Lapsley, author W.E.B. Du Bois, photographer Hezekiah Andrew Chenu, and sociologist Robert Ezra Park all played roles in helping end the Congo Free State. Chenu particularly had his life destroyed by his opponents, and tragically took his life. I haven't even begun to talk about Congolese activism. While the American, Irish, British, Belgian, and Nigerian men I've mentioned all risked something to expose the truth, the Congolese were resisting direct abuse and oppression. Kasongo Niembo of the Luba led a rebellion that lasted more than 10 years. King Ape of the Kuba led a separate resistance. Tribes fought, migrated, resisted, all across the land influenced by Belgium. The Nsamba, the Batatela, the Mongo, and many more. Resistance went beyond armed conflict and included art, music, and information spread both internally and to some of the men previously mentioned, helping to achieve liberation. Framing Joseph Conrad as the sole reason Belgium annexed the Congo is offensive to the memory of the true heroes and to the respect of the countless victims. In particular, framing a white man as the true savior while erasing the efforts done by African American, Yoruba, and native Congolese individuals represents but one more example of the way world history still capitulates to white supremacy. Even if Heart of Darkness was a perfect novel, which I do not believe it was, and even if it truly showed the humanity of the Congolese, which I do not believe it does, we should acknowledge the multifaceted, diverse force behind the resistance to Belgian colonialism, and remember their sacrifices in the pursuit of equality. Admittedly, this was meant to be a single video, but given the seriousness of this video's topics, I will make my critiques against Heart of Darkness as a novel, removed from historical context, when I return to Conrad later.